Hello everyone, my name is Vanessa and I will be going over our functional analysis, what it is, and all of the different conditions and how to go ahead and run a functional analysis with a client. So to start off, a functional analysis is an assessment which is part of the functional behavioral assessment, in which we are trying to determine what is the function of a behavior. And so here we are going to modify the antecedent, which are what is happening before a behavior occurs, and the consequences, which happens immediately after a behavior. We're going to manipulate them or alter them to kind of get to the bottom of what is maintaining the behavior. And so for an overview, there are 5 conditions in which we will be reviewing. So the first is going to be the play or control condition, attention, alone, escape, and tangible. And so we will. So in the play or control condition, we are going to observe the client with them having access to like every other condition we mentioned, so attention, alone, escape, tangible. So during this time, we will not be placing any demands. We kind of just want them to have contact with all of their preferred items, and they're going to be receiving attention for us. Because in this condition, we are looking for problem behavior being our controlled variable and comparing it to the other 4 contingencies or conditions, so that way we can observe the behavior in the natural state. Usually though, you will see lower rates of occurrence with maladaptive behaviors, just because they have free access to all of their items. If and when a problem behavior were to occur, what we would do is just ignore it, because we kind of want to see like what it looks like and what exactly is going on, or just have it neutrally redirected. And so now moving into the attention condition, pretty self-explanatory, but here we are looking to see if the behavior occurring is maintained by the attention received from others, so either the RVT or anyone else in that room. So what we would end up doing is having our attention elsewhere than the client. So we would be engaged with another person or activity, seeming distracted. And so once the client begins to engage in the problem behavior, we are going to provide attention in a form of like, don't do that, if they're like climbing up on the table, or telling them to stop or you're gonna hurt somebody, and kind of seeing like what their reaction is. Because like if we observe the behavior to occur at a higher rate when that attention is provided, we can hypothesize or assume that that behavior is maintained by attention. And so for the next condition, we are discussing the alone condition. So we are wanting to see if a problem behavior is being maintained by anything else other than a social interaction. And so we can also sometimes refer to this as automatic reinforcement. So a good example of a problem behavior that we would be able to like measure would be head banging. And so anytime a individual were to take their head and bang it directly onto a table, so we would go ahead and like remove ourselves from the environment, and we would observe from like outside of the room, like a one-way window if possible, or just out of the client's eye view, so that way we can just observe them naturally. And so if we were to see that headbanging was still occurring at high rates, we could assume that the function of the behavior of headbanging would be maintained by automatic reinforcement. This would have to also be done in a way to where the client does not know that you are watching them, so that is very important to keep in mind. And I would go ahead and make sure you're off to the side but completely out of the room. For our next condition, we have escape. So here we are looking to see if a problem behavior occurs when a demand is placed. And so in this condition, we would want to present a non-preferred activity such as cleaning up, but we would want to do this using a 3-step prompting procedure. And so essentially you would first go ahead and place a demand of you need to clean up the Legos. And then the next would be showing them by modeling how to clean up the Legos. And then lastly, doing a full physical guidance. So hand directly over the hand, picking up the Lego and cleaning it up. And so this way we are able to assess by if a break is provided, which would serve as escape from the demand of cleaning up the Legos, and observing what the problem behavior looks like. And again, you are looking to see the frequency of this behavior. If it is very high, we can assume in this case that the maladaptive behaviors are being maintained by escape. For our last condition, we are going to be addressing the tangibles. So we're going to be seeing if maladaptive behaviors are maintained essentially by access to preferred items. So just before we get into that, I wanted to explain a tangible is any item that we are able to touch or feel, and it could be toys, it could be food items, it could be something in a room, out on a playground, anything of that nature that we can actually hold. And essentially it's going to be a very preferred item to a client, where we would see maladaptive behaviors occur if we are withholding and it is maintained by access to preferred items. So here we would let the client go ahead and play with a very high preferred item, which we would know from a preference assessment. It could be, let's say, bouncy balls. So we would let the client play with the bouncy balls for 30 seconds to a minute. And we would then go ahead and take away the item by saying, hey, okay, it's my turn to have the item. And then kind of observe if the behaviors occur. And if it does, we would then go ahead and provide the toy or the bouncy balls in this case immediately following the behavior. And so that way we can go ahead and run subsequent trials, essentially observing if the behavior is still occurring, so that way we can go ahead and determine if the maladaptive behavior, say screaming, is maintained by access to the bouncy balls. Every time we remove it, they scream. When they get it, they don't. They have it. So we would be able to then go ahead and take the data on that and determine if the behavior is maintained by access to tangibles. And so that concludes the training for a functional analysis to determine what our maladaptive behaviors are being maintained by. If you have any further questions or comments, reviews, anything of that nature, please go ahead and let me know, and I would be happy to discuss. Thank you.